Welcome to the Daily Current Affairs by Civic Center IAS, where we'll discuss the important articles for the day 24th March 2024. So the first article here talks about the Lapis Lazuli, which is a blue mineral or a semi-precious metal. In this context, we'll talk about it. So it is a semi-precious gemstone known for its vivid blue color, sometimes with streaks of gold. Know that it has been used for millennia in jewelry, as a pigment and in various ornaments. Now moving on to talk about it, more about it. Firstly, talking about its mineral composition, the primary mineral is lazurite with 25 to 40%, which gives the rock its blue color. Now, moving on to talk about this other minerals, they include calcite, pyrite, diopside, and also sodalite. Now, what gives this blueness? See, the intensity of the blue depends on the structure of sulfur in the lazurite, and the presence of calcite can reduce its blueness. Now talking about its geological and historical importance, see, the Lapis Lazuli has been mined for over 6,000 years, particularly in Afghanistan, known for its producing the highest quality stone. So globally, the Lapis Lazuli is also found in Chile, Russia and the US, though Afghanistan is the most notable source. And also the stone was traded in ancient times with evidence of its presence in Indus Valley civilization. So it was used by ancient Egyptians for jewelry and as eyeshadow. So the Renaissance artists ground to make it ultramarine for the pigment for paintings. Now moving on to talk about the second article, it says that India has imposed anti-dumping duty on 5 Chinese goods. In this context, we'll talk about anti-dumping duty. See, the anti-dumping duty is a protectionist tariff imposed by a country on foreign imports that is believed are priced low below the fair market value. It aims to prevent unfair trade practices and protect domestic industries from being harmed by low-priced imports. Now, if we have to talk about the legal framework related to it, firstly, the anti-dumping measures are governed under the Agreement on Anti-Dumping within the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade, which is in short called the GATT. So the WTO rules allow countries to import anti-dumping duties if a product is being dumped at unfairly low prices that harm the domestic industries. So talking of the international Indian laws, so India imposes anti-dumping duties under Section 9A of the Customs Tariff Act of 1975. So furthermore, the Directorate General of Trade Remedies, the body under the Ministry of Commerce and Industry responsible for investigating complaints about dumping and recommending anti-dumping duties. Furthermore, talking about the key aspects related to anti-dumping, see, the anti-dumping duties are typically imposed for a period of 5 years, after which a review is conducted to determine if the duty should be extended. Then the imposition of anti-dumping duties must comply with the WTO regulations, ensuring that the measures are transparent and justified. Also, the anti-dumping duties may lead to higher prices for customers, but they are intended to create a level playing field for the domestic producers. Moving on to talk about the third article, it talks about FPI and it says that the FPI equity market has witnessed a moderation in FPI selling, with the outflows narrowing to 1,794 crore. In this context, we'll talk about the foreign portfolio investors. See, FPI involves foreign investors purchasing and holding financial assets in a country outside their own. It is part of country's capital account, which is shown on the BOP or the balance of payments of the country. So, the FPI is often referred to as hot money because it tends to move quickly in and out of countries, typically in response to short-term economic, market or political developments. So what about FPI in India? See, the FPI in India is regulated by the Securities and Exchange Board of India, in short called the SEBI. So the term FPI typically refers to foreign institutional investors and qualified foreign investors. So what drives FPI inflow into a country? See, economic stability, investors are attracted more where the country is more economically stable. Then the countries with the strong growth prospects, and moreover the countries with clear, transparent and favorable regulations that make it easy for the foreign investors to operate and attract more FPI. And lastly, countries offering higher returns are attractive to FPI, looking for profitable investments. So if you have to compare with FDI, see, FPI is more liquid. FPI is more liquid and volatile compared to FDI, whereas FDI typically involves long-term investments or in companies or projects within a country. Then FPI is considered riskier than the FDI because of its volatility and tendency to leave quickly at the first signs of trouble in the economy. Now moving on to talk about the third article, it talks about the Accredited Social Health Activist Scheme. See, the scheme was launched in 2005 under the National Rural Health Mission, now known as National Health Mission. So the objective is to enhance access to healthcare services in rural areas by deploying local women as the health workers to provide basic health services and education to the communities. So moving on to talk about the key features of the ASHA workers. See, ASHAs are community health workers responsible for promoting maternal and child health, family planning, immunization, sanitation, and health education. Furthermore, the ASHAs mainly focus on the rural and undeserved areas, ensuring that the marginalized population have access to healthcare services. Furthermore, the functions of ASHA workers include: firstly, to conduct health education and awareness campaigns; secondly, to facilitate immunization and prenatal or postnatal care; thirdly, promote family planning methods and help distribute health supplements; and lastly, support in the delivery of the health services, especially in the emergency care and disease prevention. So, the ASHAs receive a performance-based incentives for completing specific health-related tasks such as vaccination, antenatal care, and also institutional deliveries. Moving on to talk about the government support. See, the ASHA scheme is implemented by the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare in collaboration with the state health departments. Furthermore, the ASHAs are provided with training to equip them with knowledge on basic health services, maternal and child health, sanitation, and emergency health care. So, the National Health Mission and the state health departments regularly monitor the activities and effectiveness of the ASHA scheme. So, moving on to talk about the last article. So, the last article talks about the Section 44 Clause 3 of the 2023 Personal Data Protection Act. See, Section 44 Clause 3 of the Personal Data Protection Act is a provision within India's comprehensive framework for safeguarding personal data. The Act was introduced to protect the privacy of individuals and regulate the collection, processing, and storage of personal data by businesses and government entities. So, this specific provision focuses on cross-border data transfer and lays down conditions under which the personal data can be transferred outside India. Then it ensures that such transfers occur only to countries or regions that have adequate data protection standards. Now, moving on to talk about the key provisions of the Section 44 Clause 3. See, it governs how personal data can be transferred outside India. So, it ensures that the data is transferred only to countries or jurisdictions that have equivalent or adequate standards of data protection. This section aims to prevent the flow of data to countries with weak protection laws, which could potentially endanger the privacy of individuals. Now, the section specifically mandates that the destination country must ensure a level of data protection that aligns with India's own standards. This means that the personal data should not be subject to weaker or less stringent laws in the recipient country. Also, the Data Protection Authority will be responsible for assessing the adequacy of the recipient country's data protection regime. Lastly, the DPA will monitor and ensure compliance with Section 44 Clause 3, ensuring that companies and entities involved in cross-border data transfer adhere to the guidelines for data protection set by the Act. So, as the articles are less, we have discussed only 5 articles for today. We'll be back again with another video tomorrow. Thank you.